All right, good morning. We are going to go ahead and get started. We have a special guest joining us today, but we'll give everyone just a minute. I'm going to make sure we have everyone joining us. There we go. We are going to have Julie and Mason join us in just a minute, and we'll go ahead and get started. We're so glad you're here with us today. Welcome. I see some familiar names there. Welcome, and from Greece. Thank you for joining us. We are going to be talking about work readiness today, and I think Julie and Mason are on, so we can invite them on whenever you want. We'll see who else joined us. Hi, Jay, Greece. Ray, welcome. We're so glad you're here. We'll see when Julie and Mason pop up.
Are we here?
They are helping us with the lesson today, so we're going to give them just a minute. Hello, welcome. It's nice to have everyone all over. Are you there, Julie? Oh, yay!
Yeah.
Hi, Mason.
Hi.
Thank you so much for helping us. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have a few visitors with us, so I will just say welcome to Julie and Mason and hand it over to you, Julie, and you can tell us what we're doing today.
Awesome. It's really good to see you, Jenny. It's been weeks, and
I miss you.
We're all in this together, right?
I know.
So, good morning, everybody. I'm one of the program managers. I work at JA for the JA BizTown and JA Finance Park programs, and we really miss seeing our students. This is one way we can connect live, but there's nothing that can replace that interaction. So, we just want to share some tools with you today that hopefully in your spare time, because I'm guessing if you're like Mason, you get your schoolwork done in a shorter window than your normal school day. And maybe you have a few minutes where you could get on some of these junior achievement tools and play around and do a little career exploration. So that's really what today is all about. I really think that you don't have to know exactly, what you want to be or have your entire life planned out at this stage. Mason, you're almost 14. You're going to be a freshman next year. Some ideas have come into your head, but you really don't have to have it all figured out, you guys. But now is really the time to discuss, what is the cost of higher education and what potential income could I earn if I choose to go this particular career path? And that's really going to affect your earning potential and, where you want to go in life. So if you have something in mind, you should really understand what that's going to cost you to get there, and also what is going to be that return on your investment. If it costs me $100,000 to go to 4 years of school, am I going to graduate and make $25,000, or am I going to graduate and make $70,000 a year? So that's a really important factor. And also your happiness is a big factor there too. But I want to ask and throw it out to you guys. Have some of you already thought about college and how you'll pay for college? Can I throw that out to the group and just see if you guys have had those discussions already with your families?
Yeah, that's great. Any of your viewers, if they've talked with their parents about college, you can make a comment right now. That'd be great.
We're not quite there yet. We're still trying to figure out high school because honestly, that's the next step. So it's always in the back of our minds as parents. And I think for you, we live in Arizona, so there's great state schools. There's a lot of options, but I think that we've lived in 3 states. Jenny, I don't know about you if you've moved all over, but we lived in 3 states. So we've seen some great choices, diversity options. Each state and each place we've lived has had some really nice pros to it, but also some cons. And so I think for us, probably staying in state is going to be one of the most economical things eventually. So did anybody comment out there? Has anybody had these discussions with their families yet? Yeah.
Looks like Elle said yes. She's talked about going to college with her family.
Okay, awesome. So, that's the biggest thing, is just to get you thinking about that next step. So we talked about, it's important to understand what the income potential could be, but also we should talk about, is there going to be a need for that job in the future? So you should really look and start to research the projected growth for certain types of jobs. So for example, Jenny, I know you had extreme interest in nutrition and how it affects the body and the mind and your health. So if you had interest in overall nutrition, you could consider researching dietitians and nutritionists. Those jobs, for example, have a really high growth rate right now. And they work in many settings. So hospitals, clinics, private consulting, state and local governments. I mean, there's a lot of job opportunities for dietitians and nutritionists. And honestly, the projected growth is, I think, 11 to 15% in the next 10 years. So that leads us to believe that there might be a job waiting for you when you graduate with that type of degree. So just something to consider. Today, really what we want to do is hop in and show you the career tool. We want to introduce you to the JA Access Your Future tool. I'm just really going to flip the screen over in a minute and show you guys how to get in there. On our Instagram Live on our website, we gave the link to it. So I'm going to have Mason go from the beginning and show you how to get in. And he's just going to walk himself through a scenario. He's very good in math, and it doesn't mean that he's going to become an accountant or an actuary, but we're going to go through that type of scenario for you today, just so you can see, you know, what that education cost might look like and what could his earnings potential be, and how the heck is he going to pay for this school? Because I know mom and dad aren't paying for all of it, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's flip this screen around and let's take a peek, and you guys can join us, and you can get in as well, or let's probably do it this way. Or if you guys just want to follow along, that's fine as well. So is my screen halfway clear there? I think. Okay. Okay, so Mason's just going to hop into the jaaz.org homepage, and that's where you guys have probably been finding out our schedule for the Instagram Live lessons, a lot of learning at home resources, as well as connecting with, you know, some things that will help your future. So he's going to click on that top bar, find out how to #keep learning during coronavirus pandemic. Okay, and he's just going to scroll down to today's date. So he's going to go all the way down to the April 29th lesson, Instagram Live. Yep, he's going to click the Instagram Live, and he's going to scroll all the way down to the April 29th lesson. And he's going to click on that first link, JA Access Your Future. Okay, so this tool was really designed for you to get in and just start exploring. Again, we talked about you don't have to have your entire life planned out or even know what you want to be, but you really should understand what the education to get to that level will cost, and also what's the potential income earnings. So if you can see here, I'm gonna go in a little bit closer. It asks you to choose a career box. Don't do that just yet, but if you're not quite sure, there are some career cluster, education, and median salary drop-down boxes. So feel free to look through those if you need a little guidance in, say, well, I know I'm interested in general business or maybe health sciences, but I'm not quite sure. There are some guiding tools there for you to use. We are going to go ahead and just choose the first one here under the accountant for a career selection, simply because Mason knows he's good at math and numbers are kind of his thing. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and we're going to see some career suggestions. Okay. So before we talk about the accountant, well, let's talk about the accountant. You want to read there what it says for the accountant in your education requirement and go all the way down.
Okay. Accountants prepare and audit financial records. Education requirement is a bachelor's degree. The median salary is $69,350. The projected growth is 10%, and the career cluster is finance.
Okay, awesome. So Mason, if you looked at that growth potential as growing 10% higher than the average career, would you say that's a stable and a good career to get into?
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree. I've actually seen some lately that have a negative growth rate, which that really means that their projections are that there will not be new jobs created in that sector. So I think seeing a 10% projected growth rate is looking pretty promising. So let's take a look at a few of the other, well, let me ask you too. If you made close to $70,000 a year, do you think you could live on that?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's go through here and see some related careers. So there's an actuary, and they're really assessing financial risk, typically for like an insurance organization. You have to be really good at numbers and be very good at a lot of statistics for that. Same with a mathematician. That's another potential career path. And then they've got a statistician. So statisticians, their growth rate, let's stop there real quick. Their growth rate is 33%. So it looks like a very high demand for somebody who's excellent with numbers. And the last one here, we have a manager. Financial manager, monitoring the financial stability of an organization, super key. I mean, right now with COVID-19, a lot of companies, nonprofits have really seen a shift in their finances. And so you have to be very flexible and be willing to be creative when you're a financial manager. Okay, so does anybody out there, let's see, what somebody made a comment. Just if you guys have any comments, we know that these numbers are general overall ranges. So what you see for one area may be greatly different in another. And we've noticed that just even from the states that we've lived in, cost of living, the actual income levels for even similar jobs can be vastly different. So keep that in mind, the area you live in, these are not going to be exact numbers. Okay, so we're going to go back up. And I'm just Mason's gonna take us through the accountant create your education package. The reason he wants to do that is because he knows his potential income is almost $70,000, but what's it gonna take to get that type of degree and be ready for that type of job? All right, so for level of education, it indicated you needed a bachelor's degree at a minimum. So he's gonna go ahead and select bachelor's degree. We decided public is probably the best type of institution. And then the location we talked about in-state, simply because an in-state tuition typically would be a little more affordable. And then room and board, absolutely, because he is not living with me when he's in college. Jenny, you have one in college, is that right?
I do. I have an out-of-state college, but actually it's coming home on Saturday. So we're going to get used to living all together again.
So, and that's, I don't know, you know, what decisions went into that, but, you know, in-state versus out-of-state, you definitely have to weigh not only just the cost, but other factors went into that. Were there some other decisions that helped you and your son decide?
Yeah, I mean, and we went on a lot of tours, several tours, and one of the consistent things that the college counselor said about a student choosing a college is number one, about what kind of job they want. The actual job might not even exist yet, but if there's something they're interested in, if that's their major, if they're interested in accounting, if they're interested in the arts or nutrition or math, then find a school that has that program, because the actual job, what it'll look like, we might not even know what it is yet. So keep that in mind. And then also what all of the colleges told us, which I really appreciated, is they said when you're deciding on the college, you need to decide where you want to live. It's not just this is a school that my parents want me to go to, but can I imagine myself living in this city, in this town, in this environment? So with my older son, Nathaniel, who's going to school in Oregon, for him, he was ready to get out of the desert. So he really picked a school that was a place that he really wanted to live, also had the major that he wanted. He's majoring in physics. But then he also did a lot of work academic-wise to get the scholarships and the grants to be able to afford it. So there's so many things that go into the decision. But we started talking about college and all these things early on. So even if, you know, kids are in junior high and you think, well, that's so far away, doing modules like this, talking with your parents now, it kind of gets the wheels turning, and it's helpful for when it is time to make that decision.
Absolutely. There really is no better time to start. And even if it's just having that discussion, I think that's perfect.
Absolutely.
So let's kind of see what happens here with Mason's choice for a bachelor's degree, staying at a public university in state. Over here, I know you guys, I'm sorry, this is a little wavy because I am just simply holding my iPad, but tuition and fees annually, it looks like $9,410, room and board, a little over $12,000. So my yearly cost to attend university is $21,480. How do you react to that number?
Pretty big.
It's pretty big. Absolutely. I mean, I know you could buy a really great car, you could do a lot of things, but this is investing in your future. So it looks like a full cost 4 years, they've got at $85,920. Again, keep in mind, these are not exact costs. These are just to give you an idea. So what we're going to do is we're going to determine payment options, because if this is an example of what it might cost for a 4-year bachelor's degree, we really need to see where is that money coming from. And you guys can follow along if you have this pulled up on your own screen. If not, we'll do the best we can to kind of give you a snapshot here. So how are we going to pay for this? early on, my husband and I decided that we would probably help our kids pay for half of their college education. So we started saving. I think Mason was not even 2 months old. We started a fund and we started saving for college. And then when my younger son was born, we did the same. So we feel that we would contribute about half. So if that's the case, we're going to say about $10,000 come from mom and dad. That doesn't include Mason's savings because as a very frugal child, I guess you could say, he's been given birthday gift money, Christmas gift money, but he does not go out and spend. Well, he looks at me strange because he's like, frugal. Well, what that means, he's not out buying a video game every time something new is released. He's not out buying the latest, greatest iPhone. He's not out buying, bicycles, skateboards, basketballs. He does like all those things and he does buy those on occasion, but for the most part, I would categorize you as a saver. So Mason has some of his own savings as well. Okay, scholarships and grants. So you guys, if you're in junior high right now, grades have always been important, but when you start that freshman year, that's really when the clock starts ticking. So you really need to be conscious and aware of all the effort you're making and make sure you're putting your best foot forward because what you do freshman year is cumulative. You will have to pay for that later in terms of your grade point average. And when you start applying for colleges, they do look at all 4 years. So you really want to make sure that you are paying attention to your grades. Okay, so for scholarships and grants, we're not really sure. I mean, we would have to get to the point where we're applying for them, seeing what's available, looking at what grades have to be maintained. But Mason is a very good student. So let's just say hopefully you get $1,000 a year towards something. And I don't know. Jenny, I've never had a kid in college. So.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of opportunities, especially if you have the academics in place. There's presidential scholarships at most all schools. There's other grants and scholarships. So there's definitely ways to get that cost to come down. Just from a scholarship and grant point of view, not even looking at loans if you need that. So having that savings, Mason, that's so great. I know we want to spend our money when we see things, but it's nice to keep that a little bit aside because now my son is finishing up his freshman year in college and he had a nice chunk of savings from all those birthday gifts and things in high school and junior high, and it's really helped him not to be so stressed out in college. So having that savings is helpful, and there are a lot of national scholarships and grants. There's a lot of federal, and then there's also in the school specifically that you can get, especially if you have the grades.
Absolutely. So that's something we're going to be going for, definitely.
Yeah.
He knows from day one, those grades and everything that builds into that. So whether it's leadership opportunities, extracurricular activities, community service, all of those things all count. So we're gonna put a number in there, hoping that we could get some scholarship or grant money.
Yeah.
Wages. So I think Mason was at a point where he was ready to start working before COVID-19 started. He was ready to be a junior umpire, and he's planning to go back and work once everything opens up again. But beyond that, I think in college, he would plan to work a part-time job while in school. So while he would not spend all of his money towards his tuition, I think that we figured maybe about $4,000 a year he could earn working a part-time job. So he's going to put that in. And then others. So I think this would be some savings that Mason has had from, again, the birthdays, the gifts. And I think he's going to put, his goal is to have $2,000 a year saved up. So that would be about $8,000 total that he would have to have saved up. But that still leaves us short. So let's go ahead and click that auto adjust student loan balance. So Mason, what does that leave you short per year?
$4,480.
Okay, so $4,480 short per year. Where are we going to make that up?
Loans.
I mean, loans, yeah, it can be an option and it probably will. I would say from your perspective, the more scholarships and grants you could apply for and potentially get, that could bring that number down. So our goal is always to take out as little loan money as possible because you don't really want to graduate in debt. But for this exercise, we are going to put in a loan amount of less than $5,000 per year. So we're going to add that to the calculator. Okay, you guys, can you bring it up a little so that we can see the whole screen? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to click in there. Okay, Did it take, oh, let's go down to the purple. I'm sorry, the purple section here. Okay, so now this is talking about your loan options. It might be better like this, or it may not. Sorry, guys. I am not a camera operator, that is for sure.
That's okay.
So can you
You
read,
did great.
can you just read the purple section there, Mason, the loan options?
The average interest rate for student loans is 6.8%, so that is set as a default here. Feel free to adjust the interest rate slider if you have specific loan options already in mind. The loan term indicates how many years you'll have to pay monthly payments until the loan is fully paid off.
Okay, awesome. So what's your total student loan balance after 4 years? 17,000 something? $17,920, right? Okay. You see that right there? Okay. And so we're not going to adjust the interest rate, even though right now interest rates for some programs are actually lower than that, which is great. We're just going to leave it at the default. You are welcome to, if you're doing this exercise, just to do some research and put in a rate that that you would feel would be appropriate. But the loan term at 1 year, that's not very realistic. I don't think you're going to graduate and pay back $17,000 in the first year. So we're going to slide that bar up to 10 years. Hopefully it could be paid off before then. But I think 10 years is pretty realistic. Although I read something recently that most students think they're going to have it paid off a lot quicker than they really do. And I think, Jenny, the average was like 20 years, which, you know, that's kind of scary to me because a lot of home mortgages, when you're paying for a place to live, those are 20 to 30 years on average. And so student loan debt taking 20 years to pay off, that's a lot of years of your income that you're having to pay towards, you know, your education. So we're putting it at 10 years. Do you want to calculate your monthly expenses then? Okay. So from there, showing him that his total monthly expenses for his loan would be $206.22. However, his monthly salary for the education he chose as an accountant was $5,779. So his total percentage of income paying that loan, he's only going to be paying about 3.6% of his monthly income towards his loan. And that's actually really good. So if you click on your evaluate ROI, you guys may not be familiar with the term ROI. It simply means return on investment. Was the money I spent getting my education, was it a good return? So can you go up? Is there anything else up there?
Nope. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Remember, you have to answer these before you get to...
Oh, okay. So there is actually a survey at the bottom, and we've done this more than once, but if you choose to answer the survey questions, it will take you to your return on investment. I guess it's like a chart. It will tell you, you know, did you make a good decision? Did you make a bad decision? Could you have adjusted some things in your categories to potentially give you a better return on your investment? We know that anything less than 5% was actually a really good return on investment. And these are very specific questions. So the reason we're not going to go and share those necessarily is because it goes into just your gender and your household income and things like that. And that's not something you necessarily need to even do. What did you learn from this exercise? And, you know, will you use it to explore other career
Yeah, I
choices?
could probably use this for the future when I have like a real job in mind, right before I head off to college, because I'm not sure really what I want to do now. So I could come back to this anytime I wanted to.
Absolutely. And we can explore other options, other avenues. There's not just one area of interest that he has. He's got several. So I hope you guys will take advantage of the time you have at home. When you're at home, use some of these tools. JA Access Your Future, you can get to it from the Junior Achievement website. Go through those Instagram lessons, take a look at all those resources we've had, and share those with your parents too. There's no better time to have that discussion.
Great. Thank you so much, Julie and Mason. I know it's kind of a good idea for kids to kind of see, even though it feels like it's going to be so far away, just to have that reality check of, oh, okay, it's going to be here before we know it, and just kind of open your eyes and your mind to what to expect when you're planning your future.
Absolutely. When I see $85,000 to potentially $100,000 for a 4-year degree, you know, your eyes kind of open wide. And I knew it was coming, and I've got 2 kids, so I know it's there, and we've been saving. But still, when it's right in front of you and it's 4 years away, it becomes reality.
Yeah, and what I found, you have 2 kids, I have 2 kids, they're both very different. So the kind of school they want, what they want to study, they're both really great with grades, but it might, you know, pan out differently with scholarships ways. Once you do it with the first one, that guinea pig kid, it's so much easier the second time with your second kiddo. Even though they might want to do something different, you're like, okay, I got it. I have it figured out.
Absolutely. Well, and I'll be going to you, I'm sure, in the future, asking you lots of
Yes,
questions.
I will. I'd be happy to share what I've learned and how to do things differently. And but the main thing for me is with my older one, Nathaniel, who's in college, he is loving his school. He's loving the experience. He's learning a lot. He feels it's worth his investment because he will have some student loans.
Yes.
But he says, Mom, I just wouldn't change it for the world because I love it. So that's, bottom line, we happy kids is good.
Absolutely. I agree. Awesome.
All right. Thank you so much. Mason, thank you for helping us out. We appreciate it. And everyone else watching, if you want to come and take a look at this website, there's a couple. So if you want to check out what module they were doing, JA Access Your Future, it's kind of long. You can go to our jaaz.org and look at our Instagram. You can see the link. But that is, and there's all sorts of things you can look into with your own interest. If you want even more information about helping find the right job, here at this TED.com, there are some different talks about how to help you find the right job. So there's so many resources. If you feel like taking a look, that would be great for you to do. And we are so happy you joined us today. And we'll see you again tomorrow at 10. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.